It's good to be on. Thanks for having me.
As always, and Ashley, I know there's a lot going on for you guys right now as the ownership party of SicEm365, especially centered around this documentary. And I want to know, when it comes to what's being put together, just how monumental is this for you guys to have a documentary just, I don't know, at 5 or 6 years in the works of having SicEm365 up and running?
Well, I mean, the key is we've got the right partner. Chris Charles Scott is awesome, and he's a great storyteller. Obviously, he's got a lot of successful documentaries in the past. So I think he's going to do a tremendous job of telling this story and giving it the justice and the due that it deserves. But we're super fired up, man. I've followed Baylor basketball as close as anyone over the last 20 years, and I'm just excited to have this story be told and to told well. I think Baylor's excited about it, and I think we're going to put together a really great product. We've already got a lot of interviews lined up, and almost everyone we've talked to is just super fired up to do it. So I think it's going to be terrific and things that, something that Baylor fans can be really proud of when we get to the end result.
Ashley, I don't want you to give away too much here when it comes to the actual documentary, but just to give folks a look inside and a hint into what the next week or two will look like interview-wise, I mean, who are some of the cast of characters they can expect to see?
I think you're going to have a great combination of former players going all the way back to the late 60s, early 70s. You're going to have people like Pat Nunley is going to be an instrumental voice and telling the story of Baylor basketball from the past to the future. Jason King, obviously, is going to be a big part of it. David Smoak and myself and fans like Chris Fuentes, Sarah Rogers. And we're also going to have just a lot of, players and, from the Tweety Carters to Epi Udos to the, players on the current team and the ones that were responsible for this last championship. I mean, I think it's going to be just a celebration of this monumental accomplishment. And of course, Scott Drew is going to be a big part of it as well, and some of the coaching staff. So I think, from the interviews that we're going to have, we'll probably do, hundreds of hours of footage and try to cut it down into, 90 minutes of documentary at the end. And, it's going to be a tremendous project and labor to get there, but we've got the right team to do it, and we're super excited about it.
Ashley, along with it, when you think about this all coming together and the timetable of what the plan is, can folks expect to see this by the time this next basketball season is wrapping up and maybe Baylor's on the cusp of another NCAA tournament run?
Great question, and that's our goal. Our goal is to have this ready to go by September. And I think, a lot of us have cleared big chunks of our schedule to make sure that gets done. We're obviously going to have cooperation in some areas, but the team is very organized and starts filming next week. And hopefully we will have a finished product by the end of September or by the end of August, early September.
You talked about some documentary help that you guys are getting in this, and someone with a lot of experience too, in Chris Charles Scott III, what he brings to the table. Class Action Park, already a really good, just a well-renowned documentary, and now moving into what he's going to do with SicEm365 and this Baylor documentary. First and foremost, how big is it to have him a part of this project? And secondly, his connection to Baylor, how well does that play into this?
Oh, it's huge. I mean, he's a Baylor alum. He was there during the Dennehy tragedy, so he understands how incredible this story is from when Scott Drew took over the program to what they accomplished this past year. And, I think he's a guy that really wants to see this story told well and told right and not running from any of the dark issues in the past. But he also, he's a Baylor guy, so he wants Baylor's best foot forward, as we all do. And so I think we're all on the same page as far as that's concerned, and we're just excited to get to work.
Ashley, as far as where folks will be able to view this, I'm sure it'll be available DVD-wise, but streaming has become so popular. Are there talks already on having this on certain streaming services for people to be able to watch?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about the initial reaction from some of the streaming companies. We're a long ways away from that, but I would say it's probably going to be more like a streaming platform. Think of maybe a 30 for 30 or a HBO or Netflix or Amazon Prime type of situation is who we hope to sell it to. And, Chris has the connections there. And I think that, we're going to, be in a good spot. But first steps, we got to do the interviews. We got to put together a sizzle reel, they call it. And then, the film festivals, we would have a finished product to take to the film festivals. But it's always possible that we sell it before then as well. We're into some preliminary talks with a few outlets on as far as that's concerned as well.
Ashley, for you, Colt, Brian, the leadership at SicEm365, how much really of this have you guys had to play into when it comes to paving the way for this documentary to happen? Take us through a look into what this has been like for you.
Yeah, I think the idea was circulating in our heads as we were making the title run. And then as soon as we won the championship, we were like, we got to do this. And then, I think God opened the door to a conversation with Chris. I met Chris in Indianapolis, and, then Colt talked to Chris on the phone, and then we're like, hey, we got to partner on this. And, and then I think we just said, let's try to raise the money. And, these things are expensive. It's going to cost, close to our full budget just to get this first round of filming, editing, and so forth in place. But we were hoping to crowdsource as much as possible. And then, the SicEm365 business is going to invest heavily as well. And so we're putting our own money at stake. We want our skin in the game. And we just really want to get, a great finished product. As Baylor fans, we feel like this story deserves to be told, and it deserves to be told by the people that, are most emotionally invested in it and passionate about it. And so I think, that's really how it came to fruition. And, I think we're going to make sure that we, put a lot of time and effort into telling the story well.
Ashley, you talked about this coming together, how there are a lot of funds that go into making this click. How much support have you guys gotten from Baylor fans, SicEm365 members, and those that just want to see Baylor celebrated in this way?
Yeah, it's been overwhelming. I think we've already raised over $85,000. We were hoping to get to 100 or, something over that would be great. As much as we can raise, through crowdsourcing and through the Baylor community, and then, come in at the end and contribute our own funds to make up the difference. The smaller that margin, the better. But we just hope to, get a budget that does it justice. We are not looking to be the biggest, budget documentary in the history of mankind, but we're also not looking to do this on the cheap. We want it to be done well, and, the proper amount of time put into editing that needs to be done. And we also know that, where it gets expensive is you got to start, putting money into footage. NCAA footage is expensive. And so those are the things that can really, put this documentary on the next level. We want to make sure we have plenty of money to do that.
Well, Ashley, we've had you on maybe a time or two since Baylor won the national championship, and I ask you this every time, and the answer is always different. You're now a couple of months, 3 months or so removed from that championship game. Putting it in perspective, thinking about just everything that entailed for Baylor University, Baylor basketball, Baylor athletics, what is that ride like now 3 months post?
Yeah, it still feels like something that you can celebrate every day. I have a group of guys I play pickup basketball with a few times a week, and we even had some discussion about that on the court today. I try to be a humble fan as much as possible, but every once in a while you got to get your digs in and make sure the other guys know who won the national championship last year. But in all seriousness, I've watched the entire tournament, probably 3 times through. From start to finish, starting with the Hartford game and then going all the way, and it's pretty special every time I watch it and I see new things. So I'm sure I'm going to be watching it multiple times during the summer as sports are slower. But I'm also a guy that turns the page and looks forward to the next year, and I'm very excited about this upcoming team as well.
Well, there you go, Ashley. Turning the page and looking forward to next year is the season where Baylor won't have Jared Butler. That was expected, but he waited all the way to the last minute to announce that he would be declaring for the NBA draft. How atypical is that for a player of Jared's caliber to wait up until really the deadline?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think we all expected he was going to declare for the draft and hopefully gets through the NBA combine with flying colors. And, that's the natural evolution that you want to see for great players that accomplish incredible things and are ready to play in the NBA. And he certainly is. And so, Davion Mitchell as well. So we think those four guys have bright professional careers, Maceo Teague and Mark Vital. And I'm sure Baylor fans are going to be cheering them on and be invested in whatever teams they end up with. But we've got a great team coming back and some incredible pieces coming into this new team. And so it's time to turn the page and celebrate the guys that we had, but also look forward to a bright future.
Ashley, in what you've seen comparing the ceiling and the floor for Jared Butler going into the NBA draft, what's maybe the best we can expect from him as draft day approaches, and how far could he fall if those combines don't maybe go as planned?
Oh, I don't know about how far he can fall, but I think his ceiling is incredibly high. I mean, he's a guy that can score, and he can score against great competition. He plays the best in best moments. I think one of his top skills is his competitiveness. He's an incredibly competitive guy that just wants to win, and he plays well when the pressure's on. He's become a great defender. He's a great teammate. He's a great locker room guy. I mean, I know there's going to be players that I'm going to be shaking my head. They're going to be picked in front of him based on upside. But, man, there's something to be said for guys that just know how to win and guys who know how to put the ball in the basket, and he can do those things. And I think he's going to have a long NBA career and have a very successful, he's starting as a rookie. I think he's ready to go.
Ashley, along with that, with Jared Butler leaving, declaring for the NBA draft, do you know if he has signed an agent? Where is he as far as eligibility and coming back, if that's an option later on down the road?
I don't know the details of that. I mean, I think that there was some talk, and this could have changed in the last few days, but I think there was some talk that he was going to choose an agent and then just not sign until he got through the NBA combine and through the medicals there. And, just leave the door open if need be to come back if that was a situation that presented a roadblock. But I think we all hope and pray that he gets through that and gets through it with flying colors, because he deserves it. And I know his dream is to play in the NBA. He's ready to play in the NBA. And that's just what we hope for. And I think all Baylor fans are like-minded in that regard. So let's hope for the best.
With Matthew Meyer, Ashley, I know we've asked you this before, but he still needs 1 year in the collegiate game, correct?
I think so. I'm a huge Matt Meyer fan as a person. I think he's a terrific kid, and I think his upside is amazing. But if you look at, I think I read yesterday, may have been a Mark Vital tweet or something he put on Instagram, but there's 296 guys that have declared for the NBA draft early. That doesn't include seniors, and that does not include international players.
Wow. And
you're picking 60 guys. And I made a list on SicEm365 Premium of all the guys that are 6'6" to 6'9" that have real college production. It's a pretty long list. So you're talking 20, 25 guys already that have average 15, 16 points a game, shoot the three well, have the Matt Meyer measurables. So I know he had a great tournament. I know the pros are excited about his upside, but I really think it could be like a Torian Prince situation where he comes back for his senior year. He puts the numbers up to show that the things that they're excited about him, translate into production and consistency on the basketball court. I think he's a guy that could average 15 plus, 6 rebounds, shoot over 40% from three. I'd love to see him get that foul shooting percentage up over 80%. All those things, if he does that and continues to improve on his focus and his defensive intensity, sky's the limit. He could be a lottery pick. I mean, this guy's got things you can't teach. I mean, he's incredibly athletic, can handle the ball, can shoot the three, and his second leap is just amazing. Like, he's able to get off the ground, on offensive rebounding situations really well. So I'm excited about him, but I do think he needs a year of college to really prove that his maximum value can be shown.
Ashley, along with that, looking at Baylor's season next year and how the non-conference shapes up, I mean, you got a chance to see Matthew Meyer against a guy like Colin Gillespie against Villanova in December. That matchup out of the Big 12 Big East Challenge, I'm not sure if Baylor could have gotten a more exciting draw.
Yeah, I mean, Baylor, Scott Drew's schedule's really tough, and I love that about him. I mean, some of this is dictated by the Big East Challenge and the SEC Challenge. I mean, I've speculated that based on who got road games last year, who got home games last year, Baylor's likely to go on the road to a place like Arkansas, Alabama, maybe Kentucky, because Kentucky got their home game canceled against Texas. I think that was going to be a home game, so maybe they'll get another home game this year as a result. But, I think Baylor's going to have a terrific SEC opponent. They're going to go to Oregon. That's going to be an incredible game. They got Villanova at home, terrific game for the fans in Waco. And then they got that tournament in the Bahamas and, Michigan State, Syracuse, VCU. There's a couple other heavyweights in there that aren't coming to mind off the Loyola Chicago. But it's a stacked field. They got 3 games against those opponents. So as far as non-conference is concerned, Baylor's going to be playing 5-6 really tough games again. And then, I'm sure they'll have the usual suspects, more regional teams that will come to Waco. And then, of course, the gauntlet of the Big 12 season. So plenty of opportunity to show that you are definitely a first-round pick. And I think, Baylor's got a lot of, potential first-round picks on this team. I don't want to put any limits on any of them. Kendall Brown's being talked about in that way. I think Jonathan Chachua is going to have a breakthrough season. Adam Flagler. I don't want to put any limits on James Akinjo either. I mean, they've got a team of some guys that know how to play basketball and have a bright future in the pros.
Well, I got 2 more questions for you here, Ashley, before we get to our Bear games. The first one being downtown or on campus? Oh,
downtown, no doubt.
I love it.
That's where it needs to be. It's going to revitalize that area. And it's just going to be an extension of campus. I mean, I consider that campus now, but right there at the Robinson Tower, that's where the new field house needs to be. Ashley,
top 5 Baylor quarterbacks all time. Any changes that you would make to Old Sunshine's list?
Got to put my neighbor JJ Joe in there. No, JJ was great. I think that maybe, not enough credit to the older guys, Don Troll, Cody Carlson, but it was a good list. And I certainly would put RG3 number 1. I don't know if I'd have Charlie Brewer in there. I think he's awesome, but I don't know if I'd slip him into the top 5. I think I'd reshuffle that a little bit and maybe knock Brewer out and, put some of those other guys in there, Troll. And but I like the list overall.
And Ashley, our Bear Games question of the day today, if you could go back and change one loss in your team's history, go back and give your favorite team the chance to play back a loss, what would it be?
Well, I think most Baylor basketball fans are going to say that Duke game in 2010. I do think that team was good enough to win it all. And, I think that they were right on the verge of beating Duke. So, winning that game and, perhaps winning their first national championship in 2010 would have been cool. And maybe that would have set the program's trajectory ahead of, and we would be talking about maybe a 3rd or 4th national championship at this point. But, things happen for a reason. And I'm so glad this group of guys were the guys that accomplished this first national championship for Baylor. And hopefully many more to come. I mean, Scott Drew's got it rolling. We talked about this, but with Krzyzewski and Roy Williams retiring, Boeheim soon, and maybe Izzo, there's a changing of the guard in college basketball. And you got guys like Scott Drew, Mark Few, Jay Wright, Tony Bennett, Matt Painter. They're the guys that are kind of taking that baton and becoming the elite coaches now. And so I really think that they may be the dominant players in the game the next 10 to 15 years.
Bring it on. Ashley, hey, thanks for coming on today, breaking down things across the documentary and basketball off-season information. Can't wait to have you again soon.
Thanks for having me.
I love it. Up next, we got Jeff Williams, the voice of TCU baseball.